Alrighty, 2004 Cadillac Escalade, 6.0 engine, oil pump change, oil pump correction, whatnot. A quick recap. This lady's oil pressure dropped to a low, harmful state, so therefore she more than likely needed an oil pump. But also one thing that is very common to go wrong on or go bad on these 6.0 Vortec 5.3, these LS motors, the ring, the O-ring that goes around the oil pump pickup tube, you know, over time gets hard. It'll harden up and it'll crack and whatnot, and it just won't seal correctly, and you'll start losing oil pressure. And so just because you have low oil pressure doesn't mean that you necessarily need an oil pump. But to inspect that ring, of course, you have to pull the oil pump off. In this situation, the lady elected to put an oil pump on. Nothing wrong with that. You might as well. You have to pull the old one off. You know, 150 bucks, put a new oil pump on. You don't have to worry about it. But it had a bolt bracket on the pickup tube, which comes standard on all pickup tubes, at least all the ones I've ever seen. That bolts to the oil pump, which compresses the O-ring on the pickup tube into the rubber seal inside the oil pump and creates a nice tight seal so that you don't lose any pressure. Well, whoever she had installed this oil pump cut off the mounting bracket for the pickup tube. I don't know why they cut it off. Probably because they didn't know how to take the bolt out of it, which is very common for unexperienced mechanics. But nevertheless, they put it back together without the pickup tube bolted to the oil pump, and guess what happened? Yes, of course, no oil pressure. Brand new oil pump, no oil pressure. So she drives it straight to me. I work on it, tear it down. Does it take long for me to diagnose the problem? As soon as I get the oil pump off and there's no bolt, no bracket, no anything on the pickup tube, I know what the issue is, more than likely. So that leaves me with having to pull the oil pan off, which you don't have to do to change the oil pump, or the pickup tube O-ring that usually is the problem. But I had to pull the oil pump off. In order to do that, I had to take the cross member out from under the motor, had to take all 4 mounting bolts out of the differential so I could drop it down, and it drops down just enough to get the oil pan out. And I noticed a lot of shavings. You saw in my prior video, super lot of shavings, and it just has dawned on me that I bet you these guys cut that right there and let all the metal shavings go right into the oil pan. So everything was in the oil pan. I don't see any way they could have cut that off. And as I've shown you evidence of it being cut off, how could they have cut that off without the metal getting in the oil pan? So I was wondering where all that metal came from. And there wasn't a spun bearing or anything like that. And it just popped into my head. I bet you that that's all the metal shavings from the mount bracket that they cut off. And so, you know, I'm just speechless. I'm just speechless to how these people keep getting away with doing this kind of work. Anyway, that's it for tonight. I'm going to start putting everything back together tomorrow. Should go back together fairly well. I'm going to clean everything up like every mechanic should do whenever they take a part off. Don't, you know, of course it leaked before. It's not supposed to leak afterwards. So you want to make sure it's cleaned up and looking good. And, you know, have a little pride in your work. Start by knowing what you're doing. and then, you know, clean things up and put it back together correct. And that way, people in this lady's unfortunate situation don't have to go through this and pay for the same job twice. Alrighty, good night.